Oh. Oh, shoot. I'm pretty excited about today's project. I've been in some gift shops here in Michigan and I've seen Petoskey stones mounted right in the middle of the stem of a wine glass. So I've been meaning to try this for a few years and I finally got around to doing it. First thing I did is tried to figure out how I was going to get either this end through the hole that I drill in the rock, and I couldn't figure that out. So my next idea is to cut this in half, jam it in from both sides, glue it in there, and you won't see the seam because it's in the middle of the rock. So for wine glasses, I started upstairs in the kitchen cupboards. My wife said no, I couldn't do that. So I went to the St. Vincent de Paul thrift shop here in town, and I picked out wine glasses specifically with the stems that taper in the middle. So it's narrower here than it is on either end. That way, if my hole's not quite the right size, I can just jam it in until it gets to the part that's the right thickness. This one's a little bit thicker. This one's a little bit thinner. I have a couple different size drill bits. So hopefully I can make this work. There's going to be a few challenges along the way that I haven't quite figured out yet, but it's going to be a try as we go kind of thing. So let's get started. This will be the first time I've ever cut glass using my rock saw, but I don't see any reason why it shouldn't work. I wrap the glass with masking tape just because it's a little tight in here. I think it's going to rub along that edge and I don't want to scratch it up. So let's see how this goes. Try to get it right in the middle there. Oh, okay, that broke rather than cut, but I guess it doesn't really matter. Let's try it again with the other glass, see if this one cuts or breaks. I don't have a glass cutting tool, so this is all I've got. Same thing. Oh, nice clean break. I had to be kind of careful when I was picking my Petoskey stone. I want this side to show on the front of the glass. So in other words, I want the stem to go through this way. I don't want it to be sitting like this or like this because you wouldn't see the pattern as well. So I had to get one that was kind of deep this way. And this seems like about the right size. If it seems a little bit big, once I get it on there, I can always grind it down and make it smaller. The other one I found is not quite as good because it's really tapered this way. But I can still get a hole through here, and like I said, if I need to grind some of it down, I can. It should be okay. I might take some of this top part off because there's a deep hole there anyhow. So we'll have to see which one works out better. For the drill bits, I'm going to be using diamond core bits like this one. I thought this was about 1 centimeter. I measured it just with a ruler, and it looked like a 1 centimeter bit, and I thought I might need one that's a little bit bigger. So I bought these bits, which are 11 millimeters, so 1 millimeter bigger, but they really seem like they're exactly the same size, or really close. So we'll have to see. If this doesn't work, I'll have to figure out what to do from then. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do at that point. So in drilling rocks, you always want to drill underwater. So that's why I have the dish of water here. And I'm going to just pump the drill up and down. You drill a little bit and then let the bit cool off a little bit, and you drill a little bit and do it like that. Normally, I drill from both sides so I don't have the hole blow out when the drill exits. In this case, I'm going to drill all the way through and just grind off any damage that happens. The reason for that is because this being an oddly shaped rock, if I set it down like this and drill, and then I tip it over and it's at a different angle and I drill, I'm going to have a wine glass with a crooked stem. It's going to have a little bend in the middle. So I think I need to just go all the way through. So let's do it right about there. I just remembered something. I didn't put a board on the bottom. I'm going to drill right through my plastic container if I'm not careful. So get a little board and put in there. went through. Well, nope. Thought it went through. There's the core, but it's not all the way through the bottom. Maybe it'll drill better now. Nice clean hole there, though. There we go. Oh, I know what happened. The core was shoved all the way up the top to the top there. That's what's going on. So as soon as that broke, then I was able to drill through. I did have a little bit of blowout in the bottom, but not too bad. I'm going to have to grind that down anyhow, so that should be fine. Well, now I know something more about drilling that I didn't know before. I just couldn't figure out why that wouldn't go any further. I'm drilling through my second rock, and I'm not all the way through yet. I ran into a little bit of a problem. The problem is that I'm out of drill bit. This is all the way up to the chuck there. I've got this pulled down as far as I can. There's actually very little in the chuck right now, so I just don't have enough length there. Plus I thought this was going to be kind of big anyhow, and there's some big pits right there, so I'm going to cut off just a little bit of the top of the rock there and then continue on. Well, I'm having some success here. This one fits pretty tightly, but you can see it's crooked. It's leaning to the left. So I'm going to have to figure out some way to get that in there and hold it straight. Might just be me holding it while the epoxy dries. The other one, this is just a little bit narrow. This is a little bit longer hole, so if anything, this should be better. So it goes down there, fits tight there. When you put the top on, it's very loose. Let me turn this around and show you. That doesn't fit nicely at all. So I think the solution is to grind off part of this glass, which makes me nervous after seeing it just break on the saw. But I'm going to try it on my cab machine and see if I can just grind this down to the point where it's a little bit thicker glass. And then it should sit in there okay. So over here on the cab machine, these first two wheels are hard wheels, and then this one's soft. And I don't want to run that sharp glass on that soft wheel because I might tear right into there. This is a 220 grit wheel. I'm going to start with that and kind of see how it feels. If that's doing the job, I'm just going to stick with that. And if it's not, I'll go back and try the 80 grit wheel. But this being a little bit more coarse, it might be more likely to chip. So we'll see how it goes. Wish me luck. Well, that fixed it up. That fits a lot better now. Fits nice and tight. Problem is there's a lot of wiggle room here. So I might need to make some sort of a jig just to hold that straight. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do that, but first thing I'm going to do is polish these two Petoskey stones. I got both rocks polished up. They both turned out really nice. I really like the one on the left here best, but they're both nice rocks. I'm going to use this one first. This is a taller glass. So my plan is to put it on there like that and then use a toothpick and just drip some epoxy down around the edges there. I'm hoping that it's a tight enough fit down here that it doesn't leak out the bottom. If it does leak out the bottom, I'll just clean it up with acetone. That cleans up epoxy really nicely as long as it's not dry yet. This wants to fall forward. I don't know if you can see that, but it's falling to the front. So it's lined up like that, which isn't what I want. I want it pushed back so that's right in the center. So when I put the top in, I can get it straight down there. So I was trying to figure out something to hold this up. I tried to stick a 2x4 underneath there, but it kept sliding off of this. So I made this. I don't know what you call that. Guess I'm going to call it a Petoskey stone holder upper. And if I push it just like that, it's centered in there, and that should hold it. So I'm going to put the glue on now, and hopefully this works. Once this is dry, then I'll work on getting the top part, which is going to be more tricky, but I have a plan. So far, it does not appear to be leaking through the bottom, which is a good thing. So hopefully it stays that way. I'll check on it once in a while. Okay, the epoxy's dry now. I need to glue this part in, and I've been thinking a lot about the best way to do that. So here's what I've been thinking. I could just put epoxy around there and stick it in, except the epoxy is going to want to drain down in there, and I don't know if that's good. I could fill this up with epoxy and put it in, and then some might ooze out, and I could wipe that up. That seems like a little bit of a pain. But what I think I'm going to do is put a fair amount of epoxy in there, not completely filled up. Put this in, and then flip the whole thing upside down, like that, so the epoxy will drain down and fill in the gap, kind of like I did on the bottom. It didn't leak out the bottom, so I'm hoping it won't leak out the top. And the other thing is, I need to figure out how to keep this level so that it's not a crooked glass. And I need to turn the camera off and show you what I came up with for this. Don't laugh. Or go ahead and laugh. I can't hear you anyhow, so it doesn't really matter. Laugh all you want. Okay, there's my jig to hold everything straight. You see the wine glass in there. And I can put a level on it this way and put a level on it this way and make sure everything stays level. And I think that'll do the trick. The reason it's up on these little risers is because my bolts weren't quite as long as the wine glass. So I needed to extend them, and that's the way I did it. So, kind of goofy looking, but it beats standing there holding it, and I like the idea that I can put a level on there, and everything should be good that way. So I'm going to take that all apart, put some epoxy on it. I'm going to do it without you looking because it's going to be a little stressful because I'm going to have to work kind of fast to get it done. But hopefully that does the trick. I'll have to turn off the camera. I was taking this apart, and I noticed that I chipped my Petoskey stone. I'm kind of sick about that. Much as I hate to do it, I think I'm taking this back to the cab machine and grinding a little bit off and fixing that. So do that first, and then glue this up. Alright, I may have overreacted. That only took about 10 minutes to fix, so all better. I got it all leveled, and the glue's in there, and I chipped it again. I think the problem is I need to get Nancy down here to hold this thing because I'm moving it around too much trying to get this top bolted on. So I'm going to take that apart, see if I can wash the epoxy out of there and save this, or else maybe I just work with the other glass. Alright, so I just cleaned it up again, but the problem is I don't have much room to set that in there anymore because that keeps getting shorter and shorter. So Nancy's going to come down and help me this time, and maybe we can do a better job. The problem is I've got this on an angle, so that's a really sharp on that right hand side there. It's kind of sharp. The other one I drilled more straight in, so this would be less likely to chip. So in the future, or if you go to make one, don't do one on an angle like that. That's bad. Alright, I think I've got it. Nancy came down and helped, which was very helpful. There's a little chip that came out right there, but I kind of glued it back in. So we'll see how bad that looks, but that's the best I think I'm going to do with that glass because there's just no room to grind that down anymore. So I do have the other glass. Hopefully the other rock's a little bit easier to work with, except I messed this one up too. I don't know when I did it or how I did it, but do you see the scratch right there? There you go. Somehow I scratched that all up. So I went back to the thrift store, bought a couple more glasses. So while this glue is setting up, I'm going to start working on getting the other glasses ready to go, and then we'll glue that one up, and then we'll be all done. This one went so much smoother than the first one. Having that cut flat on the top and the bottom made all the difference. This was really easy. There were no problems at all. You might have noticed that on both of these, I end up gluing them right side up rather than upside down. I just put in a bunch of epoxy in the hole there, and it did ooze out a little bit, and then I just used some acetone and a Q-tip and cleaned it up. It was no big deal at all, and I think that's just a lot easier way to do it. If I was ever going to do these again, I would look for wine glasses with a straight stem rather than tapered like these were. And I'd just find the right drill bit so that they fit pretty tight right off the bat. And then you wouldn't have to have any crazy contraptions to line everything up. So now that those are done, I'm already thinking about next week's video. What do you think about a beer glass done like this? Just kidding, not going to do that. If you want to see how to make some wine stoppers to go with your wine glasses, click on this video and I'll see you over there.